Hello everyone, and welcome back to Genesys Weekly. My name is Hazel, and each week I host a Genesys tournament and I bring only the finest of replays and deck lists to show you. If you would like to play in a future Genesys Weekly, head down to the description and join the Genesys Discord. And while you're down there, don't forget to like and subscribe because we have a lot of exciting replays today. Hope you enjoy them. Genesys is a deck builder's dream format. If you have an idea in your mind for some kind of wacky hybrid, chances are it can work, as evidenced by this deck here. Cyberdark BES. A name of a deck I never thought I would be uttering, let alone seeing it work. But here it is, and it's actually pretty good. Check it out. It's going up against Earthbound. Cyberdark will lead with the Cyberdark Realm, letting him search for a Cyberdark monster. They follow with the Cyberdark Claw, getting him into a Cyberdark spell or trap. They choose Horizon, and this is an unbelievable card. Sends two names, one from the hand and one from the deck to the graveyard to search for a cyber monster and then send another name to the graveyard. That's like 4 effects or something. Cyberdark Worm in the graveyard can mill another machine monster to summon itself back and get a card back from the graveyard. And the one we send, of course, is the Cyber Dragon Hertz, which in the graveyard gets us back the Cyber Dragon Core. Boss on Parade comes down, searching for the BES Metal Slave. Cyber Dragon Core comes down, searching for the Cybernetic Overdrive. And then, here's something interesting happens. Boss on Parade has an effect that summons a monster from the deck to either player's field. And I don't believe that the Earthbound player understood what could happen here. Because what happened is, they summoned the Vic Viper to the opponent's field. The opponent has evenly matched Molchari Fualos. And now all these cards are looking terrible. Fualos is completely disabled now. I didn't realize what was going to happen. And now Jormungandr is allowed to come down for free. It summons a Cyber Dragon from the deck, and we are into Cyber Dragon Nova, and suddenly this is just going off to the races. This Fualos is doing nothing, less than nothing. Nova comes down and summons back a Cyber Dragon from the graveyard. The OG is selected, and then ranks up into Cyber Dragon Infinity. Next, we have another rank 5 into the River Stormer. Usually you see this in the Earth Machine strategy, but today it's here in the Cyber Dark strategy. Still searching for the King, though. King comes down. That is 2 Omni Negates. And here comes the Metal Slave sending 3 BES names to the graveyard to summon itself and passing. So we have Omni Negate. Omni Negate, we have the Cybernetic Overflow, which can destroy a whole bunch of cards. And the BES Metal Slave, which is kind of like 3 Scrap Dragons or so. Then the Earthbound player draws a second Charmy for turn. Oh no, how will they deal? They go straight to battle phase. And then end of battle phase, evenly matched. Well, there goes one Omni Negate. All right, you saw evenly matched, but how about second evenly matched? Do you have a response to that one? You do? Oh, okay. That's 2 Omni Negates. You're right. Okay, fair enough. All right, main phase 2. At least we have a starter. Earthbound Stone Sweeper gets into the Groundskeeper. Normal summon the Groundskeeper. And it will go ahead and summon the Stone Sweeper from the deck. And Overflow will just... it'll destroy both of them. There's not enough extension here. That's game 1. Game 2. Hopefully Earthbound gets a chance to play a little bit more of the game. They'll start with Stone Sweeper to get into the Groundskeeper. Groundskeeper comes down, and that'll summon from the deck. They choose the Line Walker effect. Search for the field spell, the Earthbound Prison. Earthbound Fusion activates. Fusion Shokan into the Yugioh Genesys, which gets us another search. We'll choose Stone Sweeper yet again. We set a field spell, which enables us to activate the graveyard effect of the Earthbound Fusion, getting us back to Line Walker. We normal summon a Stone Sweeper, and we make the Crimson King. The Master of Faster is making an appearance as searching for Vision Resonator as we summon it, and then we fusion and synchro summon. If you've never read this card, it's incredible. You take 2 monsters and you fusion and synchro summon. Here we are. Yugioh Genesys and a Dragostapelia. Yugioh Genesys, in the graveyard, the Vision Resonator gets us Crimson Gaia. Crimson Gaia will go ahead and get another search. We'll get the Fiend Peace Golem from the deck. Yugioh Genesys gets us back Line Walker. Fiend Peace Golem comes down and then modulates the level. It'll choose to modulate downwards, making a level 7 synchro, the F8 Dawn Dragster. That's a formidable board. Negate, Spell Trap Negate. This is a revive back from the graveyard. Double Lancea in hand. Cyberdark has Cyberdark Claw, getting him into the Cybernetic Horizon. And you saw how explosive this card was last time, sending practically the same targets as before. Notably, though, this monster here, the Eternity Dragon, has an effect where they can banish it from the graveyard to prevent destruction this turn. So The Lancea will be chained right here, preventing that from being used. The Worm will come back, though, once again sending the Hurts to the graveyard to summon itself back and get back to Horizon, and then a Cyber Dragon core. And then here comes an old staple, the Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. The Drawn Dragster is a machine, and the Cyberdark Worm does count as Cyber Dragon when on the field. So here we can make Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, shutting down that negate, and then play the Triple Tactics Thrust. Nice spell trap negate. Be a shame if something happened to it. Thrust adds Cyber Emergency to the hand, and suddenly this game is looking pretty bad for the Earthbound player. Cyber Emergency gets into the Cyberdark Chimera as Cyber that one comes down and summons Cyber Dragon from the deck. Drago's Stapelia can negate the Jormungandr, but it's too little, too late, as Chimera Tech 2 comes down, and here is Dingirsu, one of the preeminent free XYZs of the format, and it can send that Geogriffin right to the graveyard, and these interruptions are being blazed through in the blink of an eye. Here comes the BES Derringer core. All it has to do is reveal another one in the hand to summon itself. It summons out the BES Blaster core, and the BES Metal Slave can come down by sending 2 more names. And suddenly there's an entire field here of big, imposing machine monsters. And then this is an incredible interaction I never thought about. The Metal Slave targets 2 monsters to destroy, and the Dingirsu can protect yours while allowing the opponents to be destroyed. And that's not even once per turn. You just have to detach. And the Metal Slave is not once per turn either, so just start picking off the board one by one. There's 2 materials off the Dingirsu. The field's looking pretty empty, though. The Derringer core gets back another huge machine monster, and suddenly BES is attacking for game. I never thought I'd be saying these words, but is BES good in Genesis? That's a swift 2-0. Here is the Earthbound deck. Has all the usual spec types for Earthbound, but then when we get to the additional engines, we got Vision Resonator and Fiend Peace Golem, all these new Blazing Dominion cards from the Jack Atlas's strategy. Plus, we have the new Archfiend cards here, Archfiend's Resurrection, Archfiend Strategy, Playtime, Advent, and Ghastly Glitch, making lots of powerful sub-engines in this deck that weren't here before, alongside the Elf No Fortuna. One thing I love about the Earthbound deck is how much it has the ability to just incorporate so many different fusion and synchro strategies into these very complicated lines to summon all sorts of boss monsters. It's very fun. Plus, it has lots of room for, look at all this non-engine they have in the main deck. And then, as you saw, they got to fusion and synchro summon. Here's the fusions. And lots of synchros. If you didn't know better, you would think they just dumped their whole collection, every card they have. But no, all these are playable. All of them are good. And in the side deck, of course, we have Lancea, Godos, Radiant, Zombie World, and all kinds of searchable floodgates. And here's BES Cyberdark featuring King Regulus and a whole bunch of goodies. There's one of every Cyberdark monster you've ever heard of, and Convex Knight, 3 of the starters, 3 of all the good spells, one of all these OG Cyber Dragon spells, and then one of each, Cybernetic, the Overflow. Here we got the Repair Plan, we got the Power Bond. This is a pretty efficient deck at killing. Honestly, I was a hater. I saw they were bringing this to the tournament, and I said, yeah, right. And then I saw it play, and I said, wow, is Cyberdark good? So check this deck out if you're interested. It's a surprise one, that's for sure. Next up, we have another fantastic Genesis exclusive hybrid. This is GMX DoomZ. God, I love Genesis. And it's going up against 60-card Earth Machine. Salon comes down for the GMX player, and they'll summon the Dino Deneen from the deck. That'll enable them to get a Kimridge now, and they'll also get a fusion summon later whenever they're ready. Kimridge will activate, and they will get the experiment number 55 directly from the deck, which will activate and send look at a random number of cards. Where is a dinosaur? Where is a GMX monster? We have a dinosaur. There's the GMX, 4,400 life points paid. Here's an Alos. Alos can summon back the Dogoron that we found on the deck, and then make a rank 8 into Dragluxion. You might have seen this in the GMX Vanquish Soul deck, as Dragluxion searches for a Tachyon, and then can ultimately go up into a number 38, but they'll make a Velox first. With the Deneen Fusion Summon effect, here's a 38. Here's 7th Tachyon. It reveals a number 101 to search for Surfacing Big Jaws. which can then come down and search for Poplar Shark, or Drake Shark, as some people might call it. Drake Shark comes down, and now we can bridge into DoomZ. There's the Diactorus, and there's the Graflario. Graflario, detach one to search for a DoomZ card. We get the DoomZ Raiders, which can, of course, destroy the Graflario to summon one name from the deck. The destroyed Graflario will summon the other. We've seen this combo a million times. Ilara is the first one summoned. It's going to search a spell or trap. And then the Graflario summons the Amalth. The Ilara gets the destruction, and the Amalth is going to go ahead and search for the Drastea. Overlay those two monsters for the Gagaga Magician. This is a bit of a departure from normal. And then overlay those two for... You would think the Utopic Future Zexal, but no, it's the Utopic Draco Future. 20 points on the end board here. As we have all these expensive XYZs that have XYZs as material. What is going on here today? Drastea hits the board. And they're going to rank up immediately into the Drasterus. How will Earth Machine respond? Well, Book of Eclipse is a great start. That'll be eaten by the number 38, but at least it is baited out. Extra Foolish Burial now allowed to resolve, and they'll send the El Shaddai App Cologne to the graveyard. That'll be met by the destruction to try to prevent the search effect, and that will be met by Forbidden Droplet, sending some spell cards for some value. Destruction is live, but at least the negate here on the Utopic Draco Future and the negate here on the Drashtius are both negated. So the Bible Decker at least can come down. Velox is adding a Dogoron to hand to destroy it, and well, that's all the extension we have. Good try. Here's game 2, and Earth Machine elects to go second. They'll use a Fualos into an experiment number 55. How many life points will the experiment pay today? 2,800. Here's an Alos and a draw under Fua. Alos brings back a Dogoron. And 7th Tachyon reveals number 101 to search for the Surfacing Big Jaws. Those two level 8 monsters make a Hope Harbinger, giving one more draw under Fua, and they pass there. Urgent Schedule comes down from Earth Machine, summoning 2 from the deck because the opponent controlled the monster, before Gear Frame comes down to search for the Machina Uniclass Barre, which summons itself and sends a Machina Fortress to the graveyard. That might be relevant later. Power Tool Dragon made with the Revolution Synchron summon from the deck, revealing 3 equips and getting a Premature Burial. Revolution Synchron can bring itself back before going up into the Burrito, summoning a Toad from the deck as we start to Synchro climb into all kinds of powerful cards. Premature Burial attempts to bring back the Power Tool Dragon, but it baits out the number 38's negate before Shaddai Fusion comes down, sending 3 materials to the graveyard to summon the El Shaddai Mishrarer, which is a new fusion. Oh my goodness. This is so powerful to send 3 names. You get the Genius to prevent activations and whatever to a Earth and a Dark. What good attributes. And for all the Earth Machine lovers out there, it's another level 10 Shaddai Fusion, and this one's even a machine. It's made for trains, I swear. The Mishrarer will pay 8 to feel great, getting the 3rd copy of Shaddai Fusion from the deck. It won't be helpful this turn, but if they survive, it will be. The Flying Launcher will get the King right to the hand, and with that, we will win the game. Time for the all-important Game 3. GMX goes first again. They lead with 7th Tachyon this time. XYZ locking themselves off the rip. There will be no Alos. Surfacing Big Jaws comes down, though. We have a whole line here for DoomZ, and we have 2 Black Horns of Heaven and a Book of Eclipse, so maybe that will be enough to hold off our opponent. Graflario comes down, detaching to search for DoomZ Raiders. This is a repeat of what we've seen before. Raiders comes down, popping the Graflario, and here comes 2 names. First, the Ilara, which will get us 1 more search, and the Amalth, which gets us a 2nd search. The destruction is set by Ilara. Amalth will certainly get us a Drastea into hand. But what will the XYZ monster be? They go into the Gagaga Magician. Bring it back a rank 4-2 overlay for the Utopic Future, and then the Utopic Draco Future. Drastea can then come down, equipping the Doom Dirk from the deck. Set, and pass. Earth Machine starts their turn, but Drastea goes off first. Met by Forbidden Droplet, sending 2 spell cards and turning off the entire board. That could be bad. Drastea can't do anything. Get negated twice. And Doomdark pays some life points. Machina Gear Frame comes down, searching for the Machina Unit Clasp Array. That comes down, but I'm not sure that they have much extension through a Black Horn of Heaven, which certainly comes down here. And they set pass. Can GMX find lethal? There's the experiment. Will they choose to activate it with only 7,000 life points? Well, they'll start with Draste instead, eating a Twin Twisters before the Earth Machine player decides to just pack it up, and they don't feel like playing it out. There are lots of different ways to play Earth Machine and Genesys, and this player is always bringing a new different variation to test all the different options. And this week is no exception. We have, of course, Shaddolls, and we have Synchros in the main deck today with the Revolution Synchron. We have the Shaddol Genius here for our Shaddol name. They even put these Shaddol fusions right in the main of this 60-card pile deck and choose to blind second. I don't think they were super pleased with how blinding second went today, but it was an interesting experiment, and it's pretty fun to see Shaddol fusion resolve. They have a bunch of Vernicelfs and the Cannon Soldier MK2 in the side deck in case they decide, you know what, I just need to FTK a person today. XYZ Lay to search for the Unbreakable XYZ Barrier, and some staples in the side deck. Here is GMX DoomZ. It's pretty much what you would expect. One of each of the DoomZ cards. The Drastea in particular normally is not only a one of, and the level 4s. And then we have a Shark Engine with the 7th Tachyon, and then all the normal minimal GMX engine. And we have all... And here is GMX DoomZ. We have lots and lots of one-ofs to fit this hybrid together, but it does function. Double Cyclone and Swords of Concealing Light to help shut down our opponents and force our experiment number 55 through. This card in particular, Double Cyclone, is very good. When you play a spell card and they try to negate it with like a targeted negate card, then you can use the Double Cyclone to destroy your own spell card so it doesn't get negated. And of course, there's Shifter here. Both of these decks perform well under Shifter. In the extra deck, we have a bunch of rank 4s, we have a bunch of rank 8s, Thunder and Dragon. 2 level 8 normals? Alright, sure. The Utopic Draco Future, which is a rare inclusion. Bunch of Galaxy Eyes. And of course, your 2 GMX fusions. In the side deck, we have the Black Horn of Heaven, Daruma Cannon, D Fisher, the Vados, Lancea, and Hey Trunade. Lots of interesting technology in the side decks today. Next up is more hybrid decks. We have Fairy Tail featuring Nekroz, not pictured in this hand, versus Dark Magician. Dark Magician leads with the Illusion of Chaos, searching for Magician's Rod and putting back a Gandora G. Magician's Rod comes down and searches for the Dark Magical Circle, but will Dark Magical Circle hit? They reveal Future Silence, Ghost Ogre. That is a miss. They will set their quick plays and pass. Fairy Tail goes ahead and starts with a Fualos before normal summoning Fairy Tail Luna. Fairy Tail Luna searches for Machugiru, which can summon itself because there's a spellcaster with 1850 on the field. Machugiru searches for the Fairy Tail Ball. Machugiru then changes Magician's Rod into the Prince of Fairies. They activate the Fairy Tail Ball, but that will be met by the Final Bringer, the End Times. Okay, Ready Fusion comes down and summons a level 4 monster that can be overlaid into the Fairy Tail Wiccat, sends 2 names to the graveyard, and that allows us to get back the tails of the Fairy Tales from the graveyard. Another Fusion Shokan later, and here is Weaver the Fairy Tale summoning Fairy Tale Sleeper from the deck. We go to battle, but there's a Super Poly. That'll eat our spellcasters and summon a Magician's Chorozo. Because a spell card was activated, we can use Magician's Rod in the graveyard to tribute that spellcaster we control to summon itself. But still in the battle phase, they can activate the Once Upon a Fairy Tale, summon back a Fairy Tale Luna, get in for 1850 before going into main phase 2. Preparation of Right searches for Nekroz of Bryanak, which searches for the Avon, Swordsman of the Nekroz, and they will pass. Dark Magician draws and activates Future Silence, getting them into the Dark Magician's Girl, the Magician's Apprentice. That summons itself and then goes ahead and gets a Shiny Sark. Shiny Sark gets the Gandora G from the deck. We make the Dark Magician of Destruction and the Dark Magical Circle. Because we summoned a Dark Magician, will allow us to banish a card. We choose Luna. Luna will attempt to bounce the Dark Magician of Destruction, but our opponent can just send a Dark Magician to the graveyard. This monster is Dark Magician, so goodbye Luna, get banished, and I'll keep this Fusion monster. Gandora G is now in the hand once again, as the Illusion of Chaos gets a Magician's Soul, sending the original Dark Magician Girl to the graveyard. Oh, and then summoning it back. We just go right to battle phase. That's 5,100. The Gaze of Timaeus summons the Dark Magicians, and that is lethal. An impressive showing for Dark Magician. But how will they play going second? Fairy Tail leads with Fairy Tail Ball, searching for Fairy Tail Luna. Fairy Tail Luna normal summon to search for a copy of Fairy Tail Luna. Feels like 2017 in here. Machugiru comes down next and activates its effect to search for the Once Upon a Fairy Tale. We'll overlay both for the Fairy Tail Wicket, which detaches to mill 2. Tales from the Fairy Tail can equip itself from the graveyard and give a bonus normal summon. Here comes Fairy Tail Luna, searching for Genya of the Ring. Tales of the Fairy Tail, fusion Shokan into the Weaver of Fairy Tales, which summons the Fairy Tail Sleeper from the deck. And then Genya can summon herself, and we can overlay all 3 of those level 4 spellcasters for Alchemic Magician. And during the end phase, of course, Alchemic Magician can set any spell we want from the deck. We've chosen Mistaken Arrest. Oh boy. We sent Once Upon a Fairy Tale to the graveyard, and that will reset itself before we pass back to Dark Magician. Good luck, Dark Magician. You probably need it. Blazing Cartesia comes down and will immediately go ahead and summon from the deck with Once Upon a Fairy Tale. Cartesia will dodge out of the way into Timaeus, the United Magical Dragon, as Machugiru hits the field. Machugiru searches for Fairy Tail Ball, as Shining Star comes down and attempts to search for a card. That will be met by Mistaken Arrest. No searching here. But luckily, the Dark Magician player can chain Future Silence to at least get 1 search from the deck before the deck is locked. Or can they? Blizzard comes down to negate that. Soul Servant, though, can stack the Gaze of Timaeus onto the top of the deck, and then on a new chain afterwards, banish itself from the graveyard to draw 1 card, and there's the Gaze. We at least got there somehow. Timaeus attacks into the Weaver. The Gaze comes down, shuffling the Dark Magician from the graveyard to make Dark Paladin. However, the Fairy Tail Ball says, no, you summoned a monster. I'm going to target it. It's going to become the Prince of Fairies and be negated. Dark Paladin's negate, not live. Some monsters are cleared, but the Alchemic Magician remains. Top deck Nekroz of Bryanak, which I would have thought it does something, but I guess not. We just simply go to the end phase, setting Super Polymerization and a Blizzard. Timaeus, the United Magical Dragon, can destroy the Super Poly, though, in the end phase. We will attempt to search with the Shining Sarcophagus, but that will be negated by Blizzard. It'll stay on the field, but the activated effect will be negated. Dark Magician Girl, the Magician's Apprentice, comes next. Future Silence gets us into the Magician of Black Magic, which can summon itself, and go into the Dark Magician of Destruction. Here's another copy of Soul Servant. What will we stack on top of the deck? It's the Gaze of Timaeus from the graveyard. Did you know it can do that? Soul Servant now draws 2 cards, including a Twin Twisters off the top. We'll see if that's relevant. Timaeus attacks. Demod attacks. And Dark Magician looking pretty nice. 2-0. Here is the Dark Magician list featuring Blazing Cartesia, Ghost Ogre, and Snow Rabbit, and Super Polymerization. Other than that, they have basically every Dark Magician and Shining Star card you could want. And that's it. It's just Dark Magician. Looking pretty nice. We got a fun selection of Synchros and Fusion monsters. Lots and lots of targets for the Gaze of Timaeus. Notably, the Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. Very good with the Eternal Soul. I don't know if you would want to even summon or activate this card without the Dragon Knight in play. In the side deck, we got Lava Golems, Dark Rulers, all kinds of fun breakers. And here is Nekroz Fairy Tail. You might not know this, but Nekroz is an extremely efficient rank 4 engine. You didn't get to see it much in this match, but you'll just have to trust me. It's true. They also have Super Poly and the one of Mistaken Arrest, as you saw. Some fun XYZ monsters, including the Trapeze Magician. You don't see this one very often. Dimensional Fissure, Silent Graveyard Blizzard, all kinds of fun cards in the side deck. This next match is a doozy. This is our first and second place players from this week up against each other, and it features yet another unique hybrid. This time we have DoomZ with Gem Knights versus Crystron. DoomZ leads with an Amalf. They will activate the effect to search from the deck, and they get a Drastea. Drastea will destroy that Amalf, summoning itself and getting a Adastria from the deck. And then they'll choose to rank up immediately. That'll be met by Fualos. That will be met by the Herald of Orange Light. Nice try, Charmy. Rank up into Griflario. And here is the DoomZ Raiders. DoomZ Raiders. Destroying the Griflario. Feels like we've been here before. Summoning an Ilara. That'll activate, so will the Graflario. But because Graflario was Chain Link 2, it can be negated by Skullmeister. Ilara does get a Doomdirk from the deck as Adastria equips itself, and then Doomdirk will equip to the Drastea, and they'll pass there. A lot of effort just to get hand trapped into Oblivion. Cool Toon will start with Synchro Overtake. Did you remember that the Herald of Oranzite is a tuner? That means Synchro Overtake is live. And we choose to special summon from the deck, and that's a copy of Cool Toon Mix. This is a sub-engine in this Crystron deck used to help break boards and add a little bit more play. Rico is added, and the Drastea will go ahead and use the effect of the equipment to destroy the Cool Toon Mix. Luckily, though, we have a normal summon still, and Rico can get back Mix from the graveyard, which means we could go ahead and synchro summon right here. The Dooms player knows that, so they go and rank up into the Drastrius, which will allow them to yoink that Rico. Okay, Crystron inclusion time. We baited lots and lots of interaction with that Synchro Overtake, but inclusion can get into Solfefnir, which pitches a Smiger, and that summons from the deck a Solfador. Solfador sends 2 names to the graveyard, and that's just like every name that Crystron could ever want. Smiger searches for the Crystron cluster. Trisfern will search for the Tristaros. And Press Yordle can summon a name right from the deck. However, that will be negated by the Drastrius, which will equip the Solfador as part of the resolution. Crystron sets the cluster and passes. DoomZ goes DoomZ Amalth, activates the effect. They search for an Ilara. Adastria will now attempt to equip itself back to the Amalth. That will be met by a cluster, destroying the Amalth and returning the Trisfern to the deck. Alright, that's all we got. Battle phase. Drastrius attacks for 27 and pass. Top deck is a Synchro Overtake, and then we'll use Cluster to get our Cool Toon Rico back in the graveyard. Normal summoning Cool Toon Mix to get it back. This is a nice little loop, isn't it? Drastrius will negate that and yoink it, but we have successfully baited out the interactions again with the same Synchro Overtake. Solfador will pitch the Tristaros summon itself and then destroy itself, summoning a Solfador from the deck, which will pitch 2 more names, Trisfern and a Press Yordle. Trisfern searches for a Tristaros. Seems like we've been here before. As Press Yordle finally resolves to summon a Tristaros. Skeletus hits the field, and Trisfern returns to the hand. Tristaros will destroy the Skeletus, summoning 2 names from the deck. Double Solfefnir, and Skeletus gets a name back. It'll choose itself. Solfador can also float itself back by destroying Inclusion, which can summon back a Tristaros itself. Here's another Synchro Summon. Skeletus number 2. We attack for 26, 26, 2000, and 2000. That's not quite lethal. But we have a Chronomaly Vimana and a Dream. Ilara comes down. Will this be enough to get them back into this game? DoomZ Raiders activated, and Adastria will equip back to the Ilara. Ilara will now go to rank up into a rank 4, but Cluster can shut it down and double destroy at this point in time because there is a Synchro on the field. Raiders can remove the Vimana. And Quartz can get into Scatterfusion, but will that actually be a play? Scatterfusion, activate. We can send a Keldo and a Nephirim. That's pretty good. Here's Lady Diamond and Nephirim triggers. We can pitch this green light to summon itself back and get a search. And then we have a bonus normal summon if we want. Gem Knight Dispersion is added. Wait, this is so much gas. Dispersion activate. And what do we have? Gem Armadillo. This is a combo and a half. Nephirim bonus normal summon. Here comes Gem Armadillo. And we can go ahead and get a search. That'll be a Hollow Core, which can send a Gem Knight Fusion to the graveyard to summon itself. Interesting alt art. The Nibiru can come down at this point, though. Here comes the Rock to destroy the rocks. The Lady Diamond will destroy the cluster on the way out. But here's a token. 13,000 attack token, by the way. Okay, Nibiru resolved. Can Crystron close it out from here? Inclusion will get them into Smiger. Solfefnir will be, responded with Keldo. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Uh-oh, that's not going to do much. All right, Trisfern's secret effect, tag into Tristaros. And Synchro Overtake, reveal remix, add from the graveyard. Or even better, special summon from the graveyard to add from the graveyard. This is an infinite value engine, it feels like. Trackmaker comes down. That'll allow them to remove the token. Tristaros destroys the Trackmaker to summon 2 bodies from the deck. And it's almost lethal, but Nibiru comes down. Solfador summons itself. Sends 2 names. Inclusion summons back an Eleskeletis, and it's big enough to remove the Nib token, but not big enough to kill them. They get another turn. King Regulus comes down, equipping a Graflario, but it is smaller than the Eleskeletis. Scatter Fusion reveals 2 monsters to summon a Gem Knight Seraphonite. Gem Knight Quartz gets back the Nephirim. Nephirim, they'll use the bonus normal summon of with Seraphonite to get the Dispersion with Nephirim, and then Dispersion, and then they can use another bonus normal summon. Oh my goodness, it's so many normal summons. Oh, they're just going to Fusion Summon into the Master Diamond directly. Oh, okay. Tag out into 1, 2, 3 names. Get back a Gem Knight Fusion. And we're on the offense. In Prismara, remove the token. Gem Knight Ruby, tribute to bonus attack. Now we can hit over all those guys. Attack directly, but that's not lethal. We'll add back this Adastria, and uh-oh. Someone forgot that Adastria burns you when you re-equip it from the graveyard. And Crystron wins. Game 2. Do you think they'll ever make that mistake again? They'll start with Dispersion this time. That searches for a Nephirim, which they will normal summon. And what will the search be? It is Gem Knight Quartz. They'll use the bonus normal summon of Nephirim. Here comes Gem Knight Quartz into Fualos, into Herald of Orange Light, again negating the Fualos. Here's Diactorus, and here's Graflario. And I asked the Crystron player why they scooped in this position, and they said that their hand simply couldn't beat the Doom setup with the Doom's Destruction. There was no top deck that would have got them out. So they decided to save some time and go to game 3. They start with the Ran Agrin. That gets them into the Gimmer Agrin and puts the Smiger right into the graveyard to search for a Crystron Inclusion. Crystron Inclusion searches for a Crystron Cluster as Sulfidor destroys Inclusion to summon itself and bin a couple of names. There's a Sulfefnir, there's a Tristaros. Inclusion gets back Tristaros, and here's an Eleskeletis. Thanks, I'll get back that Inclusion. Tristaros now can destroy that Eleskeletis, summoning 1, 2 names from the deck and getting something back from the Eleskeletis. They choose Tristaros. Ooh, Nibiru comes down, but Tristaros can Synchro Summon in response. There's an Eleskeletis in the graveyard at least. And less names in the deck. We still have a main phase though. Sulfefnir not been used yet. Can use its effect. Summon out a Tristaros at least. So we have some level of interaction. We also have a Manadium Reframing and a Cluster. So if we stick a Synchro Monster, this could be pretty good. Gem Knight Nephirim comes down and activates the effect to search. They search for Gem Knight Dispersion. Activate Dispersion and they will add a Gem Knight monster. That will be met by Tristaros, which will be met by the Herald of Orange Light. They will not be sticking a Synchro Monster at this time. Gem Armadillos added to hand, but Crystron Cluster can remove the Nephirim before the bonus normal summon effect can be used, and that's going to be enough to save them. Inclusion will attempt to revive a monster, but that will be met by Keldo. Cluster can remove Nibiru, and we do have an 8400 token. And you can just hit somebody with an 8400 token. You don't actually have to play the game. Here is Gem Knight Dooms featuring Regulus. Only 1 Drastea in the main. Basically one of everything except for hand traps and fairy monsters. I don't know if this deck is optimal, but it does feel very efficient with all these high-powered non-engines we have. And lots of gas in the main. Lots of fusion monsters in the extra deck alongside all these XYZ monsters. Tornado Dragon being maybe the 1 flex pick. These are all engine pieces. In the side deck, they also have the Shadal Fusion. They're not featuring the new names. I wonder if they will switch to the new ones in the future. Here is the Crystron list featuring Poseidra, Ran Agreen, First Penguin, and the Cool Tune package that you saw. The Cool Tune package providing tons and tons and tons of value. All the usual Crystron suspects in the extra deck, except for you also have a Cool Tune RS, a Cool Tune Remix, and a Cool Tune Trackmaker alongside Hydrogenics. All of these are so you can search for with Synchro Overtake, search with First Penguin, and use the Cool Tunes well. There's also a Santa Claus in the extra deck, DSP Mistral with a Heavy Infantry, Swords of Concealing Light, and a triple Manadium Reframing. This next matchup is Rogue, even by Genesis standards. This is 6 Samurai versus what I'll call NR-inspired Paleozoic. We start with Primite Roar, and we roar for Toon Warrior. That is the strongest Toon Warrior you have ever seen. They normal summon Kageki and go into Kizaru, which searches for the Monk. Monk can special summon itself and go into Shien. That's a double search. One monster, one spell or trap. They get the Tactical Trainer and an Asceticism. Here's the Tactical Trainer, Synchro into Legendary Shien. And we'll get a Double Assault. Double Assault. Activate. Summon back the Tactical Trainer. Asceticism target it to summon the Chamberlain. And there's Naturia Beast. Oof, powerful card. But they're facing Paleozoic. Naturia Beast is powerless here. Proof Today, the Tactical Trapper comes down to banish and reset DD Post. They set a bunch of cards. And that's it. All right, Six Samurai, what do you have? Double Assault adds back the Chamberlain. Normal summon. There's a Canadian to set it. They can synchro up into Assault Synchro Stardust Dragon and into Satellite Warrior, which is going to demolish the battlefield. They get a search. That will be met by an Olenoids, targeting the back row to at least get some value before it's gone, and a Paleozoic in the graveyard to summon back a body. Chainlink 5, the Ruma Cannon. That will stall the match out. The whole board set. The Satellite Warrior, not attacking this turn, but it will still destroy things. And Double Shien can be flip summoned and clear the board. Shien can also negate the graveyard effect of the Proofness. So that's not going to be too helpful. What can Paleozoic draw? Trap Tantalizing Toon is a good one. They have Mirage of Nightmare as well. Maybe that will save them. Maybe not. What do they draw? 4 cards. They're all trap cards. I don't know what we expected. It's Paleozoic. And they just flip summon on the Six Samurai side. And that's going to be a easy victory. Maybe game 2 will go better. Paleozoic gets to go first after all. They like that, right? Proof Days is a good start with DD Post. And set 4 pass. Classic Paleozoic. Will the board be enough? Kageki comes down and is met with the dish count. Don't be too loud. All the dishes are going to crash down. That's 2 out of 10. Here is the Monk into Legendary Shien. That's a double search and 3 counters on dish count for a total of 5. We'll search for an Asceticism of the Six Samurai alongside the Great Shogun Shien. Here is the Double Assault. That's going to get us a monster back. They choose the Monk, and here's Shien. We attack. Olenoids will fill their own graveyard as we deal some damage, but not a lethal amount. Main phase 2, Asceticism, targeting the Monk. That's 9 out of 10 counters. And here is a Spirit of the Six Samurai. Synchro into Kizan and pass. What will Paleozoic draw? Trap Tantalizing Toon. Not what we needed. I'm not even sure if that does anything, because all they have to do is enter battle phase. And Six Samurai picks up a W in the year 2026. Here is Six Samurai. It's Six Samurai. Lots and lots of breakers in the main because this deck does not have any engine means of really going second. You just gotta get to the Eclipses, the Illusion Gates, the Dark Rulers, and pray your little heart off. The Satellite Warrior, as you saw, comes down to blast some boards. And we have Naturia Beast, as you saw as well. In the side deck, Mask of Restrict. Do not tribute my Naturia Beast for a Kaiju Blizzard. A True Date to help OTK and some Kaijus, of course. Here is the NR Paleozoic deck with the Trap Tantalizing 2, the Proofness, Mirage of Nightmare, Fire Prison. This is just... I wouldn't copy this deck list unless you're looking for a fun time, not a good time. And by fun, I mean you like losing with jank. You have Evenlies, you have Transaction Rollbacks. It's a bit of a pile, but it is fun. Of course, we have the E-Pearly Plump that goes into Dragon Gate for very easy OTKs. We have the Totally Awesome. And in the side deck, we have Arias to help us go second a little bit more Fire Prisons. Rainbow Life to stall things out. Synchrozone and Grave Digger's Trap Hole. This next matchup is going to be Earthbound again. They're evenly matched, are glued to their hand. Versus the Fairy Fluffal deck featuring Ishizu cards. Notice the Kelbeck. They start with Vigneault's Blessing, sending Nephirim to the graveyard. That'll be met by DD Crow, but that will be met by the Herald of Orange Light. They pitch the Kelbeck to summon back the Nephirim, giving a search, and we are both going to be milling 5 cards today. Here we go. What do we hit? Vigneault's Blessing is a good mill, because when it hits the graveyard, you get a fairy back. Hello, Kelbeck. Next, we can use the bonus normal summon from Nephirim. Here is a Gem Knight Quartz, and overlaid into number 60 Dugares. We will draw 2 and discard 1. What will we get? That is a toy vendor off the top and in the graveyard, searching for a Fluffal Dolphin. Overlay into XYZ Armor Fortress and get that full armored XYZ out of the deck before we go ahead and use Fluffal Dolphin to get back the toy vendor and bin a Fluffal Wings, drawing 2 cards and then getting us another search. That's an Eva and a Fluffal Dog and a Fluffal Dog. Next up, Mudora pitches a fairy, Fluffal Dog, to summon itself and place the Gravekeeper's Trap, which pitches Eva to search for Zolga. Eva effect, banish 2 fairies, search for green light and orange light. That sounds fair and balanced. Zolga comes down, and they choose 5, which means we will look at 5 cards from each player's deck. And yes, it will take approximately 5 hours to do so. Evenly matches on the top of our opponent's deck. Uh-oh. Alright, overlay for Bujinki, Amaterasu. Go ahead and get back Fluffal Dog. Overlay into number 39 Utopia Rising, summoning back Dugarez. Transferring some material, going into the full armor Lancer. The materials don't matter. Going into Eclipse Twins. It brings back Utopia Roots. We make a Dark Knight Lancer. And we should be overlaying these 2 rank 4s for Utopic Future Zexal with 6,000 attack points. So Utopic Future Zexal, the Gravekeeper's Trap is going to allow us to snipe the top card of the deck. We have some Heralds in hand. That's 2 activations worth, and the Lancer. We call the evenly matched. We do is on the top of the deck. But then it's a Fortuna? I'm not really sure what happened. The opponent activates the evenly matched. They didn't. We saw it on the top, but we didn't see the one in the hand. We lose everything except the Utopic Future Zexal, which is only 500 attack now. Elf No Fortuna gets the Rhapsody of Madness, followed by a Line Walker, which is negated by the Herald of Orange Light. Crimson Gaia is next. Let's see if we can extend. Here is a Vision Resonator. We haven't normal summoned yet, but we're not going to use it. We pass, and Fluffal doesn't draw because they use number 60, but they do get to search for Fluffal Bear when they normal summon the Fluffal Dog, which will get them another copy of Toy Vendor. Toy Vendor activate, then go ahead and pitch that full armored XYZ. They find a Fluffal Bear. Do they want to special summon it? No. Fluffal Wings activate. That's going to be 2 draws and a search. They get Penguin, Mudora, and another copy of Wings. Mudora can summon itself by pitching the Fluffal Bear from the hand, and there's a Tornado Dragon to take out the unknown set. The 3rd evenly matched. They equip the Tornado Dragon with the XYZ Armor Fortress, attack, and pass. Future Zexal at least strong enough to survive some attacks now. The Stone Sleeper will get them into Groundkeeper coming down. Groundkeeper negated and destroyed by the Herald of Orange Light. And that's going to be all she wrote. All right, Earthbound, we're rooting for you. Get in there. Crimson Gaia. Activate. That'll get us into Fiend Peace Golem. We have the Vision Resonator already, and we'll summon the Fiend Peace Golem. We'll decrease the level, and we will synchro into Arciela of the White Forest. And we search for King's Resonance and a copy of Elf No Fortuna, which is a light spellcaster, summoning it to the center Mantra Zone to get into the Rhapsody of Madness. Here is Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon, and that's apparently full combo. Vengeance Dragon, Resonance, and a Dream. Here's an Illusion Gate. Yikes. That's pretty good into our board. And a Nephirim, that's full combo, it seems like. Uh-oh, we might be in trouble. Nephirim searches for Gem Knight Quartz. We have a Godos at least. Maybe that will interrupt something. Oh, never mind. Vengeance Dragon is going to force that to get removed by the Rhapsodia. Before we summon a Mudora and go into Tornado Dragon, there goes the unknown set, the King's Resonance. Gravekeeper's Trap. We'll go ahead and get the Zolga. Eva in the graveyard. We'll get a search met by Lancea. Lancea maybe should have been used ahead of time. Battle phase. That's 3,000 damage, but they will have a chance to draw 1 card. Will it be Red Resonator like they claimed? I doubt it. They draw into Earthbound Prison. I don't think that's going to get us there. No, it's not. Not a good showing for the Earthbound deck, but the Fairy deck looking pretty fun. Here is the Fairy Fluffal list. If you like fairies, rank 4s, milling, and drawing, this is the place for you. This deck is more competent than it looks like. And it doesn't really fusion summon at all, despite being a Fluffal deck, which is quite funny. Look at all these fun rank 4s we get to use. Exciton Knight, Minerva, Dugarez, and even Luce. So we do have 1 good fusion summon, but that's about it. We got Radiance, we got Purple Lights. Purple Light is so funny when it comes up. Illusion Gaze, Mischief of the Gnomes. Oh my goodness. Bulk of Eclipse and Exchange of the Spirit. I don't know if it's possible to FTK people with this anymore, but it would sure be funny to see someone try. Next up is a battle straight from the F section of the dictionary. It's Fire King versus Fabled. They start with the Fabled Nuzuchi and a Rescue Cat. That'll summon 2 names from the deck as Cerberus and a Behemoth. That lets them get into Gamagin, which gets another name from the deck. They choose Grimro, and that gets them into Andwraith. But our opponent will elect to discard instead of allowing that effect to go through. Synchro up into Levelizable, set a Chalice, and pass a Modest board for a Modest Era. Fire King normal summons Arvada and attacks into the Levelizable. That allows them to summon Ponix during the damage step, in which is a step that Levelizable cannot negate them. So they can force this effect through before activating Fire King's Sanctuary to go into Fire King Island. That'll allow them to destroy one of their own fire monsters, or any monster, I suppose. They choose the Megalo to search for a Garunix, and that's going to be 2 effects. They get to send the Estero to the graveyard and summon the Garunix, which will destroy another card. They choose Kirin. Kirin floats back the Arvata and destroys a card. And that's going to be where they set and pass. The Fabled player has no follow-up, and that is one of the quickest game 1s we've ever seen here. Here's game 2. Let's hope Fabled opened a little more strongly this time. Here's Rescue Cat. That's a good start. There's a Nozochi and a Behemoth into Gamagin. Gamagin summon Kushano, and they have the Buyo in hand. That's always good. So they can synchro that off for Andwraith. It'll probably be negated. Yep, negated by pitching the Fire King Island. But we still get a Buyo effect to search for the Mutiny in the Sky. That can shuffle back 2 Fiend monsters in order to summon the Duke of Demise. That's a level 6. We can synchro into Levelizable, draw 2, discard 1 from the graveyard effect of Gamagin, and bring it back with a Cruce. And here is Fabled Treason, Forbidden Lance, and Gravity Collapse set. That's going to be impactful, especially because there's a Kaiju in the Fire King hand, which is normally a great card to use, but not when your opponent is going to negate the summon with a Gravity Collapse. That is devastating. They set their Fire King Skyburn and their 7th Tachyon, but will that be enough for anything? Here's the Realm Resurrection into the Stairway to the Fabled Realm, pitching a Kushano into the graveyard. Kushano can get itself back by pitching the Cerberus, and then Cerberus can bring itself back. We're going to synchro into the Excel Synchro, and then it'll tag out into Stardust, the OG. And here's Satellite Warrior making another appearance, destroying 3 cards. Boom, boom, boom. That will trigger the Sacred Fire King Garunix. Are they going to be in this? There's Kirin. Brings back the Ponix and destroys a Forbidden Lance, searching in the process for Fire King Sanctuary. That's not nothing. But Fabled Treason can destroy the Ponix and bring back the Levelizable. Nope, Skyburn will protect the Ponix, but Levelizable will steal the Garunix, at least temporarily. Kushano pitching a Cruce to add itself back to hand, as Cruce will activate in the graveyard to bring back Cerberus. We're going to synchro into the Levelizable and attack and attack. That's a quick 8,000. And we're going to game 3. Game 3, and this one's for all the marbles. Fire King starts with Sanctuary, good start, into Fire King Island. They will go ahead and destroy a Rescue Ace Impulse to search for the Sacred Fire King Garunix, triggering its effect to special summon and destroy another monster in their deck. They choose the Ulcanix, which is a pretty standard play here, summoning the other Garunix from the deck. That gives them rank 8 access. High Avatar Kirin can come down, and then they'll use Circle the Fire Kings to try to cycle a whole bunch of bodies into play. Unfortunately, DD Crow will shut that down by banishing the Sacred Fire King from the graveyard. That is really sad. However, the Kirin on the field is still destroyed. It will still bring back the Fire King Ulcanix. And Ulcanix will be able to destroy the OG Garunix to search for a Sacred Garunix. So at least we still have one of those in rotation. During the standby phase, the original Garunix tries to return, but that's met by another DD Crow. 2 crows for 2 Garunixes. This is not fair. Ours are supposed to be bigger than yours. The Realm Resurrection comes down. That will be negated by... Oh, not negated, but prevented with the Final Bringer. The End Time, triggering the Sacred King Garunix. Destroying the Arvada on the graveyard to bring back a Kirin. Rescue Cat gets them into a Behemoth and Nozuchi. Here's a Gamagin. Can that break the board? Here's Fabled Soculus into Levelizable. Gamagin, draw and ditch. Here's Behemoth summoning itself. Levelizable, tribute itself to steal 2 monsters. And make Famesmith Lacrima, and watch this. It can summon back any Light Fiend, and that includes Levelizable. What a huge name to summon back off of Fiendsmith Lacrima. Oof. Fabled is pretty dangerous. Sorry, Fire King. Double DD Crow is pretty nasty. Here is the Fire King deck list. It's pretty standard. It includes the Rescue Ace Impulse. It does include the Fencing Fire Feral, which is maybe an optional inclusion. 7th Tachyon here to search for your starters. Final Bringer of the End Times is pretty standard as far as non-engine goes. And triple Fire King Skyburn. In the extra deck, we have a whole bunch of Jirax and a whole bunch of Rank 8s and a Tachyon target. Evenly matched in the side alongside Twin Twister, Soundproofed, Illusion Gate, and Dogoron. And here is the Fabled list featuring Fiendsmith, featuring Rescue Cat, but those are all pretty standard. We have triple Buio alongside Mutiny in the Sky to give us access to Luce, give us access to the Duke of Demise, or even Fiendsmith Lacrima, depending on the contents of the graveyard. We also have Nibirs and Fuas in the main deck. If you're playing a combo deck, beware the Fabled. We have Caesar, of course. We have Don Dragster, which is not a standard inclusion, I don't think. And the Excel Synchro Dragon to go into Satellite Warrior. That really helps the deck go for lethal pushes. Double Levelizable, it is the best Synchro in the deck. And a Vengeance Dragon alongside our fusions. In the side deck, Santa Claus, because it's a Kaiju searchable by the Fiendsmith's Tract. DD Crow, Illusion Gate, Twin Twisters, Forbidden Lance, and the Criminal itself, Gravity Collapse. This next matchup is a deck I like to call Fusion Fiends. And this time it's been powered up with the new Shadell cards from the Battles of Legend that just came out. And this is going to be versus 60 card GMX Jirac Dinosaur with Pop the Baby. They start with Ground Xeno. They search for Megalo and they do the thing. They pop the baby. Someone call the man, you know who to call. Xeno Meteorus is summoned and Soul Eating Oviraptor comes out of the deck. And that'll give us any dinosaur we want. We choose Miscellaneousaurus. Have you read Misk? We pitch it, our dinosaurs are now immune, and Megalo uses its secret effect to summon itself, which will enable Meteorus to destroy it to summon Frostosaurus. That sends Astero to the graveyard and allows us to summon Evil Czar Lars. Miscellaneous can banish itself to search for Return Dino Deneen, and we are off to the GMX races. Deneen searches for Celandea before using its effect to fusion summon. You fuse with it and a Petite Pteranodon, and that will trigger the search effect to search for the GMX lab number 5. Celandea reveal itself to summon a GMX from the hand, will choose itself. And on summon, it'll get back the Miscellaneous from the graveyard. Sorry, the Banishment, which allows us to go into Logia. Ground Xeno banished itself to perform a fusion summon. Did you know this is a fusion spell in the graveyard? And we go ahead and use Alos to get back the Baby Cerosaurus. GMX lab number 5 will get us the 55th experiment report. But Nibiru will interrupt the rest of our play. Poor evil czars, they are not dinosaurs, they are dragons, so they have no immunity from Miscellaneous, unlike Alos and the baby. Here's a 4900 token, and once again, the meteors destroy the dinosaurs. And then an Illusion Gate, too, just to add insult to injury. They destroy everything, take back the Megalo, and follow up with Archfiend's Usurpation. We do get to float into a Megalo from the deck because a baby was destroyed, but the Archfiend's playtime we set will allow us to play. Velox is not going to really stop anything as Archfiend's Advent comes down, and we will just yoink that Velox. Velox can remove one monster on the way out, but they still get it. However, GMX can at least recur some resources with all these summons and try to survive a little bit. Evolved Deneen can also get back the Celandea. Fiends go into the battle phase, but Jirac Estero comes down to summon a Meteor and just blow up everything. Alright, well, maybe this push wasn't so threatening. In fact, Fiends have nothing left and pack it up. It's game 2, and the Fiends have elected to go second. Notice that they have some powerful spells in their opening hand. Return Dino Deneen will activate to go into Evolved Deneen, and I think this is kind of a brick on their hand, because they don't really go much further than this. They activate the lab number 5. They put the 55 experiment report, and that's it. I feel like they really wanted to find more than that. Shaddoll Fusion reveals Hell Shaddoll, Buio, and Fiendish Rhino Warrior, or rather sends them all to summon the Mishrarer. That triggers multiple effects as the 55th experiment report summons a Velox. Archfiend's Eris is sent to the graveyard, and that will search for the Archfiend's Usurpation. Ultimate Slayer is next, sending Infernoid Evil, and this interaction is unbelievable. Ultimate Slayer sends Infernoid Evil. Infernoid Evil searches for any Infernoid card or Void card. How about Void unleashing the brand new Shaddoll Searcher? It's this amazing loop of value. Void Unleashing comes down, revealing a Shaddoll name in hand, and that lets us search for 2 Shaddoll cards. The value is unbelievable. And then Mishraer can pay 8 to feel great. Here's Void Apocalypse. We'll use that. And we're going to use that to get Fiends in play. We'll send a Farfa and a Shyama. Mutiny in the Sky will shuffle back 3 of these Fiends, including the Infernoid Evil, back to the extra deck in order to summon Luce. Luce can remove the Lab. And here's Archfiend's Usurpation. But let's just get right into our Archfiend engine. Here's Archfiend's playtime. That'll summon anything we want directly from the hand or deck. That's the Advent from the hand. Battle phase, 4,000, 33, and 25 is well over 8,000. We're going to game 3. Game 3, and just looking at the opening hands, it's looking like it could go either way. Miscellaneous into Oviraptor is how the GMX player will start. They will add to their hand a Petite Pteranodon before going ahead to activate the Miscellaneousaurus and summoning the Dino Deneen from the deck. But Fuelos will allow the Fusion Fiends player to draw 1 card in the process. We get a GMX card, we choose the Celandea, and Celandea will reveal itself to summon itself and get back a banished dinosaur. This Miscellaneous looks nice. We can overlay for a Dolka, that's 1 draw, and then Singularity Fiend comes down to attempt to destroy the Dolka. Luckily, Dolka can negate it. We set and activate the 55th Experiment Report going into Evolved Deneen, which will allow us to get another search from the graveyard of the OG Deneen, which is another report. We set that and pass. We have Gravity Collapse, but I don't see any Synchro monsters. Hello? Ultimate Slayer comes down. We can prevent the bouncing of Deneen by fusing it away with the report, and then the Infernoid Evil can be checked by the Dolka. However, that's all the interaction we have, almost. Void Apocalypse activates, but Velox will reveal from the deck until we find a dinosaur. That was fast. Summon a Oviraptor and send it to the graveyard. Oviraptor activates, and Deneen comes back. What will Oviraptor get? We find a Xenometeorus. Okay, we are not quite out of interactions yet, as the Evolved Deneen gets back the Salandea. However, Fusion Fiends has Shaddoll Fusion, and they can send 3 names to summon the Mishraer, and that's going to be a ton of value. The Hell Shaddoll. Oh, we're milling so many cards with the Hell Shaddoll effect. There's so many attributes. As Harris hits the graveyard, we have a Mutiny in the Sky. Oh my god, this is infinite gas. Mishraer, pay 8 to feel great. Here is Void Unleashing. We'll use the Archfiend's Usurpation. That gets us back a Archfiend's Playtime, which will go ahead and summon... Is it the... Yes, Archfiend's Advent once again. Archfiend's Advent, yoink of Velox. As Final Bringer at the end times destroys it and the Evolved Deneen. Xenometeorus is triggered, but Mutiny in the Sky is applying a lot of pressure. That's 3 feats, and that's a Luce. Luce can remove the Meteorus by sending Shyama to the graveyard. We'll set this spell card and destroy it for Shyama. And that will trigger Luce destroy another card because one of our cards was destroyed. The synergy is unbelievable. And we attack. That's plenty of attack points. Fusion Fiends wins the match. Here is the 60 card Dinosaur GMX Jurac Extravaganza. If you like dinosaurs, maybe this is the deck for you, because you get to play all your favorite old dinosaurs, except maybe the Quertus. We have the GMX Lab, number 5. We have the Lost World. We got Ground Xenos. We got lots and lots of fun dinosaur cards. In the extra deck, we have all the GMX Fusions alongside the Gigantozauler. Oh my god, say that 8 times fast. We have Jurax and we have Evil Zars. These are all very fun. In the side deck, we have Gravity Collapse, which didn't prove to be super impactful. Jurac Impact, Twin Twisters, Illusion Gate, DD Crow, and Santa Claus. And for those of you curious, here is Fusion Fiends. We got Tour Guide. That's part of the Fiend engine. As you see, we have a bunch of very fun level 3 Fiends. Archfiend Eris, Buio, Farfa, and the Fiendish Rhino Warrior. We have Singularity Fiend, which is a new card. The Nibiru the Primal Being. And we have all of the new Shaddoll cards. I talked to the pilot of this deck, and they said that they didn't really have a lot of time to brew the deck before they came. That's why there's only 78 points and 8 cards in this side. But the deck made such a good showing that I really wanted to show off the combos, especially because they're utilizing all the new cards. I really wanted to show those in action. Especially the Ultimate Slayer sending the Infernoid Evil to get into Shaddoll combos. What an incredible combination of cards. That's going to be all the replays for this week. I'll put the final standings of the tournament up on screen in case you're curious which decks performed the best. If you would like to play in a future Genesis Weekly, join the Genesis Discord, links in the description. And while you're down there, don't forget to like and subscribe to see all the future Genesis content I'll be posting. See you next time. Bye-bye.